Have you ever wanted to be a 16-year-old Japanese orphan attending high school in Tokyo? Do you want to stay up late fighting a bunch of cosmic horrors with your gang of unruly teenage compatriots to save the world? Do you like turn-based combat in anime dating simulators? Well, I've got great news for you. In this video, I'm going to play 100 days of Persona 3 Reload, a video game that ticks off every one of those boxes. But before we start playing, I felt it was important to place a little spoiler and content warning. First, if you plan to play this game and don't want to spoil your experience, you probably shouldn't watch this video. I played through about 30% of the main story in the first 100 days, and there will definitely be spoilers for the early parts of this game. And second, Persona 3 Reload contains depictions of bullying, violence, and permanent self-harm, if you catch my drift. If those topics and situations make you uncomfortable, anxious, or put you on edge, it's perfectly okay not to watch this video. So with all that being said, let's play the first 100 days of Persona 3 Reload. I begin my journey in an empty train station just before midnight on April 6th, where I arrive at Iwatodai Station as the night sky is suddenly stained green. As I walk from the station to my new dorm, caskets fill the streets, but that's none of my business. I arrive at my new home where the 8-year-old receptionist does a cool little magic trick before asking me to sign my name on the dorm registry. After putting my John Hancock on the slip of paper, the boy in the striped pajamas does another cool magic trick and disappears into a dimension of black ooze. As the lights turn back on, I'm introduced to two of my new dorm mates, third-year student Mitsuru Kirijo and second-year Yukari Takaba. It's well after midnight, so I made my way up to my new bedroom and put an end to day 1. Day 2 is my first day at my new school, and Yukari was nice enough to show me the way. After checking the notice board in the lobby, I learned I'll be in class 2F along with Yukari before heading over to the auditorium to attend the opening ceremony. My first day of lessons was uneventful, but after school, Junpei Iori introduced himself to me, and we had a brief chat as we left school before I put a cap on day 2 and went to bed. To kick off day 3, I helped out Junpei in class by giving him the correct answer to a question he wasn't paying attention to, and got my first social stat boost in Charm. But I still have a long way to go to max all of these out. After school, I was introduced to the chairman of the school, Shuji Ikutsuki, and then was told by Yukari that I should just head to sleep and finish the day. As I was sleeping, the chairman, Mitsuru, and Yukari were spying on me using the hidden cameras in my room, and explained the idea of the Dark Hour, a time where the entire world stops for normal people who then become coffins, and people with a certain aptitude fight shadows. During my blissful respite, I made my first visit to the Velvet Room, and met Igor and Elizabeth, before receiving the Velvet Key to end the day. The morning of day 4, I ran into Junpei in front of the school gate, where I learned that sleeping in class would help me become more courageous. But when push comes to shove, I'm too much of a coward to actually commit. I did get a nice little stat boost in academics though. After school, Junpei introduced me to the local mall, one of the major locations in the area. Another long day of school made me a very sleepy boy, so I crashed as soon as I got home. During this evening's dark hour, another dormmate, Akihiko Sanada, returned to the dorm with a very strong shadow on his tail. Yukari woke me up and gave me a short sword, as we've been tasked with escaping the dorm. We eventually made it all the way up to the roof and locked the door behind us. But the super shadow that Akihiko kited over is able to walk up walls.
No way.
The shadow tossed Yukari aside, dropping her evoker, leaving me only one option: to instinctively grab it, put it to my temple, and say the thing. Pulling the trigger sends a flash of light through my entire body and awakens my first ever persona, Orpheus, prompting the first achievement, Awakened Power. I then yelled really loud, and Orpheus turned into some other persona and obliterated the Mega Shadow that knocked out Yukari. With the big guy defeated, I was able to quickly dispatch the leftovers and successfully protect Yukari before passing out. While unconscious, I ended the day by making my second trip to the Velvet Room, where Igor taught me all about social links, a method of enhancing my personas by connecting with people around me. I spent the next week unconscious in the hospital, so days 5 and 11 are all spent sleeping. I finally woke up the evening of day 12 with Yukari at my bedside. I guess after protecting her from certain death, she felt comfortable enough to open up about her parentless situation, which is the exact situation I'm in as a little orphan boy. I made my return to school on day 13, where Junpei welcomed me back at the school gates. Even after missing all those classes, I'm still as sharp as a tack when it comes to academics, though. After school, I accepted Yukari's invitation to walk home together, and after we arrived back at the dorm, I collected my first Twilight fragment that I found next to my pillow. After finally returning to full health, I was welcomed to the inner sanctum of the 𝐼𝐵 dorm. Mr. Ikusuke informed me about the Specialized Extracurricular Execution Squad, aka 𝐶s, and apathy syndrome, a surging illness that is supposedly connected to the dark hour and shadows. After my heroic performance a week ago, Mitsuru and the others officially asked me to join 𝐶s and collect my own evoker, an invitation I accepted, unlocking another achievement, Seize the Day. Along with that, I also activated my first social link in the Fool Arcana, getting it to level 1. As I went to sleep to finish the day, the receptionist boy reappeared to let me know that he's always watching. Day 14 was a Sunday and a day off from school, so I slept until the sun was down and woke up to Yukari yelling at me to make my way downstairs. Akihiko introduced us to another Persona user and dorm resident, my only other friend at school, Junpei Iori. It turns out that Junpei just recently became attuned to his potential, and with 3 Persona users able to fight on the front lines, being able to explore a mysterious tower is now on the cards. During a break between classes on day 15, Mitsuru shows up to Class 2F to let us second years know that a rendezvous is planned on the 4th floor tonight. Junpei and I totally forgot and were goofing off after school before being reminded to get our butts back to the dorm, where Mr. Ikusuke revealed that 𝐶s would start exploring Tartarus, the tower that Akihiko referenced yesterday night. So, the gang and I made our way to the school just before midnight, and as the dark hour arrived, our high school transformed into a towering monument to all things spooky and scary. A sprawling dungeon of cobbled-together building facades, Tartarus. That being said, the lobby of Tartarus is much more tasteful than the exterior. As I arrived, I noticed a blue door frame just chilling there in the lobby, and I used the velvet key and entered the velvet room once again. This time, Igor informed me of my special ability to possess multiple personas and use them at will. But unfortunately, that's all he has to say for today. Then it was finally time to take my first steps into the maze that is Tartarus. On the first floor, the gang and I encounter our first shadow, where Junpei utilized his evoker for the first time to dispatch the beast. Further along, we encountered another shadow, where Yukari was finally able to summon all the courage necessary to use her evoker and activate her persona. Up to the second floor, Mitsuru taught me about attacking shadows from behind to get advantage in battle, and that all 3 of us could combine for a special all-out attack if all the enemies in the battlefield were knocked down. This specific victory prompted my first shuffle time, where I was able to collect a new persona, Asparas. Deeper on the same floor, I discovered the use of Twilight fragments by opening up this locked treasure chest to grab a couple of snuff souls. I was only allowed to go up 2 floors today before taking a teleporter back to the lobby of Tartarus, where my bond with the 𝐶s gang was deepened, getting level 2 in the Fool Arcana social link to end the day. And speaking of deepening bonds, I'd like to deepen my bonds with all of you watching this video by letting you know that it's sponsored by me. That's right everyone, once again I'm sponsoring my own video. That means there will be no mid-roll ads, and all I ask in exchange is for you to do a couple of things. First, if you could subscribe and enable notifications, that would be hella dope. Less than 7% of people who watch my videos are subscribed, and it would be nice to see more of you join the gang. Second, if you could take your mouse cursor and hit that like button, that would be awesome. The more likes this video gets, the more likely I am to make another Persona video. So if you want to see more Persona content, you should do that. And finally, if you could leave a comment letting me know what your favorite Persona 3 Reload character is, that would be amazing. Alright, self-plug over, let's get back to Persona 3 Reload. As I arrived to school on day 16, one of my classmates introduced himself to me, Kenji Tomochika. This morning it was announced that Mitsuru is the new student council president, so she gave a speech at the auditorium as is customary. Yesterday was a very long day going to Tartarus and all, so I decided to have a quick snooze in class, which built up some courage within me. After school, Junpei and I saw Akihiko get surrounded by some women before running into our dorm mate at the police station. Not only did he give us some walking around money, but he also introduced us to his cop friend, who is willing to sell us some weapons, armor, and accessories. I then went on a Twilight fragment hunting session and found one at school and another near the Iwatodai train station, before having some post-instruction ramen down at 𝐻𝐵𝐵𝐷, where the collagen-infused broth smooths my skin and gets me some charm points. That evening, the gang and I waited for the dark hour and made our way back to Tartarus to continue making our way up the floors and fight shadows. During a couple shuffle times, I picked up the Pixie persona, along with the Angel persona, before running into my first Gatekeeper floor. With the power of friendship and all-out attacks, 𝐿𝐵𝗵𝗰, Yukari, and I made light work of these Raven Gatekeepers and got a level up to end the day. Kenji met up with me outside the gates of school for the second day in a row, so I decided to spend the after-school portion of day 17 hanging out with him at 𝐻𝐵𝗵𝗰, chatting about girls and eating ramen, to unlock rank 1 of the Magician Arcana social link. The gang and I then went back to Tartarus this evening, where Mitsuru taught us about shifting after a weak point attack, which unlocked the There Is No I in Team achievement. After dispatching that shadow, I grabbed the Silky persona from the resulting shuffle time, before defeating another shadow further in, and getting my first ever Major Arcana card. These rare cards have really great effects, and I definitely need to prioritize picking them up when they come around. I made it all the way up to another Gatekeeper floor, dispatched the enemy with the assistance of an all-out attack, and finished the day in the Velvet Room doing my first batch of Persona Fusion, where I got the first of many achievement by creating Nekomata and Fornius. The morning of day 18, I overheard from some of the students that the track club is accepting new members. But before I joined, I went over to the police station to get some new gear for the gang. Back at school, I officially joined the track team and met Yuko Nishiwaki and Kazushi Miyamoto, activating another social link in the Chariot Arcana. After making some new friends, it was off to Tartarus, where I found a new bow for Yukari and encountered my first Golden Hand shadow. After feeding and picking up a Major Arcana card, I got another achievement, the Thrill of the Hunt. I found another Golden Hand later in the dungeon, and after defeating that one and collecting a second Major Arcana card, I activated the Arcana Burst mechanic, which upgrades all Minor Arcana cards for this Tartarus run. While fighting, I picked up the Aramitama persona, before reaching another Gatekeeper floor. Mitsuru introduced me to the Rewind Clock mechanic, but 7 Twilight Fragments for a full refresh on HP and SP is a little steep. So I went back up to the Gatekeeper floor and fought the Shadow, who was honestly pretty tough. Yukari even got down for a second there, but I was able to get her back up and she dealt the finishing blow. To finish the day off, I did another round of Persona fusing and created Lilum. After school on day 19, I did a bit of Twilight Fragment hunting before linking up with the track team for the second day in a row. After dusting Kazushi in practice, I gained a new rival and the second level in the Chariot Arcana. After practice, I asked Yugo to walk home with me, where we stopped by a cozy little cafe at the mall, where I got myself another social link, this time in the Strength Arcana. Over at the police station, I sold off some of my monster drops to finance some new armor for the gang before the clock struck midnight, activating the Dark Hour. In this Tartarus climbing session, the gang and I made it all the way up to floor 22, the first of many border floors that prevent me from going any higher in Tartarus for now. So I'm just going to have to end another day doing some Persona Fusion and crafting Omoikane and Valkyrie. Before class the morning of day 20, I heard some students gossiping about the reopening of the bookstore, so I beelined it straight there after school. The owners mentioned a persimmon tree back at school, so I ran to Gekkan and grabbed myself a leaf from that tree and returned it to the bookstore, where the elderly couple enjoyed my gift enough to activate the Hierophant Arcana social link. Since I can't make any more progress in Tartarus, I spent the evening at Walda, eating a mystery burger and getting some courage stat points. After giving out my number to all my new friends, I can now receive invites on off days the morning of day 21. Kenji hit me up to hang out, so I spent the morning at the mall with him, where he critiqued my style and gave me some pointers before I finished the day back at Walduck eating another burger. The school principal ripped off Mitsuru's speech in an assembly to start off day 22. During class, I fed Junpei with another correct answer to grab a couple more charm points, and then Mitsuru approached me after school to invite me to join the student council. And you know, I'm not going to miss out on the ability to hang out with Mitsuru. I followed her to the student council room and was introduced to student council members Hidetoshi Odagiri and Chihiro Fushimi, which unlocked the Emperor Arcana social link. To put a cap on the day, I did some part-time work at the local coffee shop, where I got a decent chunk of money and gained some charm and courage points. The morning of day 23, I learned that without Mitsuru, I can't go to Tartarus. so good thing I already reached the border floor. After school, I hung out at the arcade and got some more courage points, before running back to the dorm, where 𝐿 hooked me up with a computer game I can play now that the internet is back up and running at the dorm. After that, I spent another evening working part-time at the coffee shop to get more money and stat points. Day 24 is a rare holiday, so that means I can spend the entire day doing whatever I want. So you know I'm gaming, baby. I made myself a new online friend in the form of Maya, which unlocked another social link in the aptly named Hermit Arcana. With the internet back on in the dorm, 𝐿 let me know that the public computer is now available for use, but right now I needed more money and stat points. And doing some part-time work got me my first social stat upgrade in Courage. Day 25 and the final day of April begins in the classroom, where I decided to pay attention to the lecture and get an academic stat boost. After school, I purchased some flowers at the Port Island station, then went to track practice where 𝐿𝐶 collapsed. Turns out, my boy's got a bad knee, but I promised to keep it a secret and got a level up in the social link. Since I got my courage up to level 2, I was able to enter Club 𝐿𝐶 this evening. One shopkeeper there sells some really expensive accessories, another sells some secret URLs which I decided to pick up, and the final shopkeeper is a fortune teller that I can pay to have certain boosts while I'm in Tartarus. I ended the day at the arcade playing a dating simulator that leveled up my charm stat to unpolished. The first day of May, day 26, begins at the school gates as Yukari and I walk to school together. After class got out, the gang and I arrived at the hospital since Akihiko put 𝐿 on a mission to give him Class 2E's roster. When we arrived, we ran into a surly young man in Akihiko's room who left at the quickest possible moment. 𝐿 handed over the document to accomplish our goal of being here, and then all four of us went back to the dorm, where I spent the evening on the public computer researching those secret URLs I bought yesterday. Thanks to one of them, taiyaki will now be available at the school store. So right after class ended on day 27, I ran straight to the vendor and grabbed myself some lukewarm taiyaki. I went over to the arcade and played a game to get some academic stat points, then made my way back to the dorm to do some more investigating on those URLs. I learned that the vending machine in front of Iwatodai Station will dispense drinks that are supposed to be sold out. But as I went to bed, the dark hour eventually arrived that evening, and the little receptionist boy gave me a not-so-mysterious warning about the full moon next week, bringing the gang and I some hardship. Day 28 is a Sunday in the beginning of Golden Week, so I had plenty of time in the morning to learn that my lukewarm taiyaki won't fit in the fridge. I ran over to the train station and tested the vending machine to find that the URL didn't lie and that I could actually purchase some beverages. Over at the Port Island station, I decided to do some part-time work at the movie theater before spending my evening doing some academic work on the public computer. To start off day 29, I hung out with Maya and played some video games, which upgraded the Hermit social link to level 2. I spent the evening of a short day grabbing the 𝐿𝐵𝐸𝐵 membership code from the Net Cafe before putting a cap at the day by eating dinner at Wakatsu Kitchen. I ended the final day of Golden Week and another short day by studying in my room, then utilizing the 𝐿𝐵𝐸𝐵 membership code at the public computer, unlocking that vendor at the Iwatodai Strip Mall. Day 31 and the first day back from break begins by me eavesdropping on some chatty Cathys at the lockers. Apparently, a child is just playing alone at the shrine, so I'll definitely need to check on that later. But for now, I have to show off all the studying over break that wasn't for nothing. As much as I want to walk home with Mitsuru, she won't give me the time of day until I've reached the max rank in the academic social stat. So I ran over to the shrine where that little girl asked for a snack. I ran and got her some takoyaki from Octopia, but now she needs something to wash it down. I grabbed a drink from the vending machine, and I promised to hang out with her the next time I'm around. While I was at the mall, I ran into Yuko, and we got to chatting about how important it is for us to enjoy the present, which resulted in a rank up for the Strength Arcana. If I'm going to impress Mitsuru, I've got to get super smart, so I spent the evening studying in my room, where I leveled up my academic stat to average. After class ended on day 32, I was able to convince Chihiro that I wasn't a bad person, and asked her to walk home with me. It turns out her house is in the other direction, but she thanks me for talking with her anyways, and I establish a new social link in the Justice Arcana. That evening, I learned that Wakatsu has a special meal for the regulars, but I don't have the confidence to order it just yet, so I settled with the regular plate and got some academic points. I spent the afternoon of day 33 with the student council. Hidetoshi dropped this little gem of dialogue.
I hate people with no common sense. I have very little desire to talk to them.
And that resulted in level 2 of the Emperor Arcana social link. I then ended the day back at Wakatsu to get more knowledge points. I walked to school with Akihiko on day 34, where we chatted about how much stronger I've gotten thanks to fighting the shadows. This evening will be the full moon that the receptionist boy warned me about, so I headed straight home after school and waited for the dark hour to arrive. This evening, a super strong shadow has hijacked the monorail leading to school, so the gang and I will have to run on the tracks to get to it. The three of us arrive at the back of the train where the doors lock as soon as we make our way aboard. After trapping us in, a shadow appeared and ran away, and Junpei took the bait, leaving Yukari and I to fight through some shadows to reach our gung-ho compatriot. After dispatching a couple of enemies by utilizing some all-out attacks, we arrived at the helm of the monorail, which is now under the control of an over-sexualized demon lady that the gang and I now have to defeat. At this point, the monorail is hurtling down the tracks at a very dangerous pace, so this battle has a timer on it. But speaking quite honestly, that wasn't an issue. The fight really wasn't that difficult, as Junpei poetically got the killing blow, and I got the Back on Track achievement. But now that the scary demon monster lady is dead, we're not out of the woods. The monorail is still going dangerously fast, so that's where I come in. Thanks to my quick thinking and admittingly instinctive reaction, the monorail is stopped, the day is saved, and the Fool Arcana is ranked up to level 3. Some new weapons and armor are for sale at the police station to start day 35, and purchasing those left quite a hole in my pocket, so I spent the morning of my day off working at the movie theater. I guess now that I've defeated such a strong shadow, Igor's assistant Elizabeth will now rely on me to accomplish some requests for her, which are just little side missions that reward consumables. It turns out that I've already had some of these completed, so I turn those in to get some items and money, grab a request item from Yukari, then wait for the dark hour to arrive and hit up Tartarus, where I've received a new major arcana that will increase my all-out attack damage should I find it. I gave Elizabeth that pine resin I picked up, which resulted in a bow for Yukari, and then it's up to floor 22, where the blockade is repaired and I can make more progress. While doing some exploring and fighting, I reached level 12 and unlocked the ability to carry 8 personas, as well as collecting the 𝐼𝐴𝐴𝐿 persona from a shuffle time I got, resulting in the Power of Choice achievement. The gang and I encountered another gatekeeper floor during our trip, and quickly dispatched those enemies before ending the day by doing more persona fusion, this time creating Slime and Tam Lin. I walked to school at Junpei to start off day 36, where we both learned the midterm exams will be starting next week. With that information weighing heavy on the mind, I decided not to sleep in class today. After school, I stopped by the nurse's office and drank a mysterious potion that increased my courage stats, purchased a couple of weapons for my allies at the police station, then got some more academic points at Wakatsu since midterms are coming up. As the dark hour descended, I made my way back to Tartarus and got the Shrouded Assassin achievement for initiating this chance encounter. After dispatching those enemies using another all-out attack, I got another achievement, making the dream work, for doing 50 all-out attacks. While in Tartarus, I also opened up my 50th treasure chest today and got my 3rd achievement of the session, Briefcase Burglar. While running around, I encountered my first ever formidable shadow, but honestly this fight wasn't that difficult as long as you apply status effects. I made it all the way up to another gatekeeper floor, and utilized some more all-out attacks to vanquish these adversaries, only to find another gatekeeper floor going back to back. This fight was a tad bit more difficult since I was running low on SP, but the gang and I were able to prevail. I ended the day by doing another round of Persona Fusion, creating the Jack-o'-lantern persona along with grabbing the Tempting Fate achievement, then doing a triple Persona Fusion, unlocking the Fusion Artisan achievement, and crafting the persona Fortuna. I got a text from Junpei the morning of day 37, prompting the introduction of linked episodes, which are fun little cutscenes to get to know your friends better. After school, I indulged in one of those linked episodes with Junpei, where we went to the arcade, and he revealed that he only feels now that his life is going somewhere. That's really kinda sad, Junpei, but I'm happy for you, and I'm happy that your persona got a +3 boost to strength. Since midterms are around the corner and Tartarus is a no-go, I spent the evening purchasing some study materials and utilizing the public computer to practice my English. Day 38 begins in class as I correctly answer Mr. Takanozuka's question for some charm points, and then it's over to the library to continue studying for midterms. The dark hour enveloped us, so the gang and I took a study break in Tartarus and made it all the way up to another gatekeeper floor, which was actually a really hard fight this time around. The trick to this fight, though, was to poison the shadow, which did some serious heavy lifting, since it really wasn't weak to anything. We eventually dispatched the bad guy and leveled up, then used some Twilight Fragments on this chest to get my first costume, a tuxedo for Junpei, who now looks incredibly dapper. In this session, we reached another border floor, forcing me to end the day in the Velvet Room, doing some Persona Fusion where I created 𝐻𝐶, Oberon, and Naga. The morning of day 39, I overheard some gossip that the school was haunted, so I ran over to the nurse's office as soon as class was over to up my courage stat in case that matters. Midterms are quickly approaching, so I spent the after-school and evening time slots just scarfing down food at 𝐽𝐽 to get as many knowledge points as possible. I walked to school with Mitsuru on day 40, where she said I'd get a special reward from her if I get a good exam score. Girl, you are activating my neurons. And so with that in mind, I made sure to listen during class and get some correct answers before spending my time after school by hanging out with the old couple that owns the bookstore and progressing the Hierophant social link to level 2. I spent the remainder of the day in the dorm lounge studying with Mitsuru and Akihiko. I need that special reward, so day 41 I stayed awake during class and spent my after-school time playing quiz games at the arcade, and then studied with the gang in the evening to level up my academics to above average. Day 42 was an off day, so I purchased some goods from Tanaka's Amazing Commodities before playing some video games with an inebriated Maya that got the Hermit social link to level 3. That evening was spent doing one final study session with my 𝐼𝐵 dorm mates, where Junpei let me know what his favorite food is.
Beef! Beef! Beef!
Midterms began on day 43, and the first day went pretty well by my estimation. The answer to day 44's midterm question is May Blues. Day 45's answer is a pendulum. The correct option on day 46 is electricity, and the answer to the final question on day 47 is Jomon. Much like the first day of midterms, day 48 is just a test of your current academic level, which I passed with flying colors. Buoyed by my performance on the exams, I spent the afternoon with Chihiro at the bookstore, where I learned what a terrible man her father was, which progressed the Justice Arcana to level 2. That evening, Akihiko revealed that another Persona user has been identified, and is none other than Class 2E's Fuka Yamagishi, of which I know nothing about, so I just went to Wild Duck and had a mystery burger. The morning of day 49, I made another purchase during Tanaka's Amazing Commodities, before spending the entire day at Wild Duck, where I was able to raise my courage social stat to determined. Day 50 and the first day back at school since midterms ended revealed that I aced the exams and had the highest score in my grade, granting me the top of the class achievement. So when it came down to whether to decide to sleep in class or not, I felt like I deserved a break. But finally, what I really wanted was Mitsuru's special reward, which turned out to just be a couple of permanent stat boosts, consumables, and accessories, so I'm whelmed. After school, I decided to kick it with the student council. Hidetoshi is once again his charming, positive self, but I gotta level up in the Emperor's social link, so I'm not gonna complain too much about him. When I arrived back at the dorm, Mr. Ikutsuki took me to the roof and introduced me to a new mechanic, gardening. So I'm officially jumping the gun and calling Persona 3 Reload a farming game for this mechanic alone. To end the day, I did some part-time work at the coffee shop to make some extra cash. Junpei and I walked to school the morning of day 51, where he revealed that his midterm results have not made him popular with the ladies. And speaking of ladies, I know Kenji and I agree on one thing.
I'm more into older women.
I'll also take that social link level up while I'm at it. After having some ramen with Kenji after school, I ducked back into Hagakure, where they have a special menu for courageous people. But I'll have to try that next time, as the regular bowl of ramen was enough to get my charm stat up to confident. On day 52, I expanded my farming knowledge by learning that the flower shop at the train station sells seedlings. After class ended, I hung out with Yuko, who had some bullies put some gum on her locker. As we were walking around the mall, some bratty young ladies approached us, insinuating that we were in a relationship and implying that Yuko was a man-hopper. But I was flattered to be confused as her boyfriend and told her so, advancing the social link to level 3. I put a cap on the day in the arcade, getting more academic points. I had another opportunity to sleep during class on day 53, but decided to tough it out and listen to the lecture before spending the afternoon with Chihiro in the library as we overheard some scandalous chatter of kissing by some classmates. This little eavesdropping session ranked up the Justice Arcana social link to level 3. I spent that evening at Wakatsu, where I was finally confident enough to order the seafood full course reserved for regular customers and got myself the Gourmand achievement to end the day. More rumors of bullying are starting to filter amongst my classmates on day 54. I make sure to stay awake during today's lecture to get some academic points, before seeing Yukari overhear some chatter after school about the same bullying I heard this morning, Openly revealing you're a bully in broad daylight is crazy work, by the way. After school, I hung out with Kenji at Hagakure, where he revealed that the older woman he's crushing on is a teacher at our school, Ms. Kano. Don't worry, Kenji, your secret's safe with me, just as long as you keep leveling up that social link. That evening, I hung out with Akihiko at the train station, where we were mauled by his fans, forcing us to escape. We eventually found our way to a less than reputable part of town, and just as we were about to throw down with some mouth-breathing sad sacks, the cops had to get involved. Fortunately for us, Officer Kurosawa was on the scene and was able to smooth over that potential misdemeanor and let us go with a warning to end the day. The rumor mill is once again in full flow the morning of day 55, as Junpei shared some gossip that a student was found unconscious in front of the school gates this morning. After class, I was just chilling at the bookstore when Bebe, the French exchange student at school, arrived and returned the owner's wallet and invited me to join the fashion club at school. After Bebe left, the store owner, Bunkichi, which is his name, I don't think I mentioned that yet, revealed the grisly fate of his son. And this trauma bonding session with me, the orphan boy, raised the Hierophant social link to level 3. The remainder of the day was spent at the arcade getting some academic points. Day 56 in the final day of May begins in my bedroom making another purchase from Tanaka's Amazing Commodities. The fridge in the lounge was finally cleared out so I could place my month-old taiyaki in there, and then it's over to the movie theater to make some part-time cash before ending the month at Wakatsu. The first day of June in day 57 signals the introduction of summer uniforms. I walked to school with Mitsuru and then spent some time after instruction searching for more Twilight fragments. Remember that little girl that just hangs out alone at the shrine? Well, I learned today that her name is 𝐼𝐞, and I spent the afternoon playing with her, revealing the first level of the Hanged Man Arcana social link. That evening, the gang and I hung out at the dorm just listening to Junpei tell some ghost stories, before I went to check up on the taiyaki I put in the fridge, which was stolen by Junpei. I worked part-time that evening at the cafe, then put a cap on the day by having a dark hour conversation with the boy clad in prison attire. While walking to school with Yukari on day 58, she tasked me with collecting some information on all the ghost stories she's been hearing around town. I did my best to stay awake during class, then spent my after-school time by joining the fashion club and reintroducing myself to Bebe, the French exchange student. With another friendship on the horizon, the Temperance Arcana was revealed and leveled up to level 1. I ended the day by spending another evening working at the cafe, collecting money and skill points. On day 59, I walked to school with Junpei and talked about Yukari's ghost quest. That afternoon, I spent more time with 𝐼𝐞, whose parents are getting a divorce, so we enjoyed some wild duck hamburgers and I got my second level in the Hanged Man Arcana before spending my evening doing another part-time shift at the cafe. Yukari is still hounding me the morning of day 60 about those ghost stories, so I actually spent some time after school collecting some information for her. Kenji has some non-ghost related information for me though. Apparently he is now dating the teacher, so good for him. I'll gladly take another rank up in the Magician Arcana in exchange for keeping that secret. Up on the rooftop of the dorm, my tomatoes have finally grown in, so I got those harvested and replanted before ending the day at Wakatsu getting some academic stat points. Day 61 is the Friday I'm supposed to share my ghost information with the gang, and Yukari made sure to remind me of that. After school, I hung out with Bebe where he told me all about his aunt that is supporting his Japanese education experiment in exchange for the second rank in the Temperance Arcana social link. When I got home, I dished out all the clues I gathered about the ghost stories around town, so we decided that tomorrow night the three of us would get to the root of them by heading over to the Port Island Station outskirts. As thanks for doing all that legwork, Yukari gifted me a soda that will pair nicely with this Wakatsu meal to end the day. After school on day 62, I ran into another young man wearing striped prison attire who was playing with 𝐼𝐞. I talked to him for a bit and then head over to Octopia with her. After doing a little bit of venting about her parents, I got up to rank 3 in the Hanged Man Arcana before heading down to the seedy underbelly of Port Island where some rando sucker punched Junpei in the stomach. Remember that one dude who was hanging out in Akihiko's hospital room? Well, he showed up and gave that loser a nice solid headbutt that sent them running. After regaining our bearings, he introduced himself as Shinjiro Aragaki and gave us some intel. That potential persona user Akihiko mentioned a couple weeks ago, Fuka Yamagishi, might be dead, and her ghost is causing all the stories around town. So that fun little revelation required a little mental break. So I ended the evening at the arcade getting some academic points. I spent the morning of a short day 63 enjoying a day off from school with Bebe at Octopia. Today was basically an all-you-can-eat extravaganza that increased my academic skill from above average to smart. During lunch on day 64, the gang and I convened at the faculty office, where Natsuki Moriyama admitted to bullying Fuka by locking her in the gym. Eventually, her guilt overcame her, so Natsuki went back that evening to break Fuka out, only to realize that she wasn't there anymore. She then revealed that all her friends who disappeared with apathy syndrome started hearing voices calling to them. And now that we know that Fuka is probably lost in Tartarus, the gang had to come up with a plan. We decided that we would break into school late at night and replicate the conditions by which Fuka entered Tartarus. So that evening, Yukari and I slipped past a security guard in the lobby of the school and collected the gym key from the faculty office, only to get a little cutscene into the current state of Natsuki, who is hearing the voices. As we cut back to Tartarus, it would appear that entering the labyrinth through Fuka's footsteps split the entire gang up. After reuniting with the lads, we found Fuka cowering behind some lights, safe and sound. While our group in Tartarus was looking for a teleport exit, our communication with Yukari and Mitsuru was interrupted, and Akihiko finally put the puzzle together. Big, scary shadows come out during full moons. So we rushed back to the lobby of Tartarus as soon as possible to find two shadows had overwhelmed Yukari and Mitsuru. Just as we were about to get down to business, Natsuki shows up, forcing Fuka to activate her persona. How she got an evoker, I'm not too sure, but she was able to successfully protect Natsuki, plunging us into battle with the shadows. This fight was moderately difficult. The bosses had a mechanic where they would change weaknesses often, but it just took a bit of time to knock them out and pick up the Empowered Protector achievement, before Fuka herself got knocked out from the exhaustion of awakening her persona to end the day. Unfortunately for us, schooling waits for no man or woman, so I walked to class with Mitsuru on day 65, where she informed me that Fuka and Natsuki were recovering nicely. I made my way to the flower shop after school to grab some potato seeds, before spending some time with Bebe at the fashion club, where he decided to sew a kimono. With another rank up to the Temperance Arcana collected, I spent a relaxing evening at Hagakure, where I could finally order the special menu item to get a moderate increase in the charm skill stat. Back in class on day 66, I decided to courageously sleep through Mr. Ono's lecture before spending my after-school time at Polonia Mall, handing over a odd morsel to this rotund student. He later introduced himself as Nozomi Suimitsu, the Gourmet King, revealing the first level in another social link, this time in the Moon Arcana. I decided to continue my day at the mall by ending it with some part-time work at the cafe. I got a text after school on day 67 from Akihiko. Fuka is being released today, so we're all going to welcome her to the dorm this evening. With the time I had left before our meeting, I hung out with Suimitsu and was granted the title of Gourmet King's Royal Guard, but the real reward was another level in the Moon Arcana social link. As I returned to the control room with the gang, we officially welcomed Fuka as part of cie, where she will be serving as our new navigator. With that settled, I ended the day at the arcade getting some charm stat points. On day 68, I saw a little cutscene where Fuka and Natsuki made up and became friends before class began for the day. After school, I spent another afternoon chilling with Suimitsu, where his advice on how to properly consume cuisine got me another level up in the Moon Arcana social link. Using his tried and true methods, I spent my entire evening at Hagakure, where all that ingested collagen took my charm social stat from confident to smooth, just like my skin. To wrap up day 68, I finally got the prison boy to tell me his name, Pharos, which activated the first level of another social link in the Death Arcana. Now that Fuka has joined the squad, Mitsuru let me know that she'll be joining me on the front lines the next time we go to Tartarus. After school, I checked in with Elizabeth to pick up a bunch of Twilight fragments and turn in a request to get a new outfit before meeting up with Yuko at Wakatsu for dinner. As I returned to the dorm, Mr. Ikutsuki revealed some new gear for the team. It not only looks pretty slick, but it introduces a new battle mechanic for Tartarus, Theurgy. So the gang and I hit up the maze, clad in our super slick upgrades as we're given the full anime epic intro treatment. In our first battle with Mitsuru, it's revealed that her persona specializes in ice damage. As we progressed up the floors, Tartarus had some very specific plans for the gang, as we were all split up. I eventually found Yukari having some difficulty with a shadow, but in the resulting fight, Yukari activated her Theurgy for the first time. This powered-up archery-styled ultimate move is not only beautifully animated, but it really packs a punch. Another week of school has come and gone, but Elizabeth hit my line early on day 70 explaining another block of Tartarus has opened up. So I got my rooftop tomatoes harvested and replaced with potato seeds, collected a couple of request items from Mitsuru and Akihiko, then ran over to Elizabeth at the mall to turn in those requests. I hung out with Elizabeth, where she made a pretty expensive wish at the water fountain, before spending the morning hanging out with Suimitsu Awakatsu to establish level 4 in the Moon Arcana social link. With another block of Tartarus open, the Dark Hour is activated, and as I entered the lobby of the Labyrinth, I registered the major Arcana cards from my last epic battle. I made my way up to the border floor where Tartarus crafted a little bridge for me and the gang, and we got to climbing. I picked up a new persona called Garulu in a shuffle time, then activated Mitsuru's 𝐼𝐵𝗲𝐰 attack, which is this elegant little ice dance combining swift movement and steel-cold fencing slashes, culminating in a blast of ice that has a decent chance at freezing her targeted enemy. I eventually made it up to my first gatekeeper floor of the block, where Fuka activated her 𝐼𝐵𝗲𝐰 in the resulting battle. Her special power uses some type of holy water to increase the attack, defense, accuracy, and evasion of all her allies. I then activated my 𝐼𝐵𝗲𝐰 that uses the power of music from Orpheus and Asparis to restore some party HP and increase the accuracy and evasion, just like Fuka's. After all those boosts, dispatching these gatekeepers was pretty easy, and the resulting level up increased my persona storage capacity to 10. As the gang and I continue up through Tartarus, Akihiko activated his 𝐼𝐵𝗲𝐰 attack, a condensed ball of lightning that is propelled through his fist to do some heavy thunder damage. After defeating that shadow, a new mechanic is introduced as Mitsuru offers to do some scouting for us. This action will temporarily bring the party to 3 members, but the missing teammate is off doing some advanced reconnaissance of the current and future floor, mapping the path and collecting available items. As I continued going up the floors, I collected some new personas from shuffle times, and even got the Fool's Journey achievement by collecting 10 major Arcana cards. I eventually made it up to another gatekeeper floor, but Akihiko's 𝐼𝐵𝗲𝐰 superpower makes light work of those enemies. I parted ways with some Twilight Fragments to pick up a new sword, then teleported back to the lobby to turn in some requests and do some persona fusion. I finished the day off by creating Rakshasa, High Pixie, Principality, Moki, Linan Shide, and 𝐵𝗲𝗏. After a long dark hour, day 71 begins by walking to school with Yukari, who's a little on edge about Fuka's quick introduction to 𝐶s. During today's lecture, I answered Miss Toriumi's question correctly, then drank a strange potion at the nurse's office after school. I watched Hidetoshi get socked in the face, complimented his willingness to throw his body on the line for his ideals, and got myself level 4 in the Emperor's social link. I spent that evening at the pharmacy picking up a muscle drink, checking out Club Escapade where a vendor needs some black quartz, utilized the fortune teller to increase the chance of finding rare shadows, before turning in some requests for Elizabeth. As the clock struck midnight, the gang and I returned to Tartarus, where we encountered a floor chock full of high-level dangerous shadows. This prompted the introduction of another new Tartarus mechanic, Fuka's jamming skill, which will allow us to safely navigate any floor without prompting aggression from shadows. After doing some shadow eradication, I got the black quartz the vendor at Club Escapade wanted, ran down to the lobby to turn in some requests and collect rewards, then did some persona fusion by creating Mitra, which completed another request, rewarding me with a sugar key, making the fusion of King Frost possible. The gang and I made it up to another gatekeeper floor and made quick work of the Night Shadow before collecting the Neko Shogun persona in a shuffle time. As we make it higher and higher up Tartarus, a new enemy called the Reaper is introduced. He only comes out if I were to spend too long on a floor, so I'll just have to make sure to avoid doing that from here on out. I eventually made it up to the border floor of this block, floor 69, signaling an abrupt stop to our Tartarus spelunking. I picked up the third old document that details the founding of Port Island City, returned to the lobby to hand in a couple more requests to Elizabeth, then finished the day by doing another round of persona fusion by creating Take Mikazuchi and Shisa. Mitsuru informed me the morning of day 72 that I no longer need permission to go to Tartarus, so that's fun to know. I hung out with the elderly bookstore owners after school today and got up to level 4 in the Hierophant Arcana social link, and that evening I got the formal tour of the dorm. The kitchen has finally been cleaned up and is now ready for use. I can watch some movies now that the TV has a dedicated DVD player courtesy of Yukari. The bookshelf on the second floor has been freshly stocked with the best literature money can buy. And finally, the rest of the dorm members have been granted access to the rooftop, so they can assist me in harvesting veggies. This tour introduced another downtime mechanic, dorm activities. These can improve social stats, gift items, and ultimately activate powerful boosts for my allies in combat. To that end, I ended the day by having tea with Mitsuru, where I got the dorm life achievement and some Lux Night tea. I overheard that the art club is now accepting members to kick off day 73, So I made sure to accurately answer Mr. Edogawa's question during my class time for the charm stat boost before beelining it to the art room after school, introducing myself to the club president, Keisuke Hiraga, and officially join the art club, activating another social link in the Fortune Arcana. That evening, I went to Club Escapade to exchange my black quartz and 10,000 yen for some fashionable sunglasses that Elizabeth seems to really enjoy. I ended the day at Hagakure, enjoying a special bowl to increase my charm social stat. Elizabeth woke me up on day 74 to let me know that she needs to see me in the Velvet Room at my earliest convenience. I ran down to the mall as soon as school left out, and Elizabeth revealed that a human has stumbled into Tartarus and can't leave, introducing the missing persons mechanic. I have to wait for the dark hour to save them anyways, so I hung out with Fuka and Keisuke after school and got the second rank in the Fortune Arcana social link before finally activating the dark hour and heading into Tartarus. I was able to locate and rescue the missing person on floor 50, collecting the extracurricular excellence achievement, then did some persona fusion by creating the personas Narcissus and Mithras, the latter of which completed a request to end the day. On day 75, I walked to school with Fuka, where she offered to assist me in tending to the rooftop crops. So after school, I asked if she wanted to do that this evening, but she had plans to try her hand at cooking, and I don't have the courage to serve as her sous chef just yet. I downed some more strange juice at the nurse's office for the courage boost, then joined Bebe at the fashion club where he revealed that his aunt had recently passed away, resulting in a very melancholy level up in the Temperance Arcana social link. Speaking of level ups, I ended the day in the arcade getting a social stat level up in courage, as my skill goes from determined to tough. After school on day 76, I found Yukari and Fuka petting a stray dog outside the dorm, so I joined in and gave some love to this good boy before meeting up with the entire gang in the control room. Mr. Ikusuke gave us some intel that there are 8 more super shadows to defeat until the Dark Hour in Tartarus are destroyed, so it's up to us to make it happen. But since the next block in Tartarus isn't available yet, I spent the evening at Wild Duck getting some courage points. A lazy Sunday headlines day 77 as I spent most of the day playing video games with Maya. That evening, I purchased a bunch of software at the Net Cafe and finished an entire day of computer time by killing zombies on the public PC. I walked with Yukari to school on day 78 and listened to her as she talked to me about her theories that something fishy is going on with one of our allies. In class, I made sure to correctly answer Mr. Miyaharu's algebra question for those sweet charm points before spending the afternoon at the shrine with 𝐼𝐞. I gave her some advice on how to deal with her parents and got myself all the way up to level 4 in the Hanged Man Arcana social link. Back at the dorm, I watched a recording where Mitsuru called the police because she thought Junpei's room was broken into. But my man just lives like this. That evening, I spent some more time going through the software that I bought last night until the dark hour arrived and I got a cutscene introducing another wrinkle into our journey. A group of 3 that have the potential to see through the dark hour but choose to use their power to enact violence. As I made my way to school on day 79, I overheard some gossip from the other students about a revenge website that I can only guess is operated by that group of outlaws. But that's an adventure for another day. I've got art club to attend to, where our club president just got a painting accepted into a national competition, and I got another level of the Fortune social link by proxy. That evening, I saw a little cutscene with Akihiko and Shinjiro as the two continue to argue about something or other. Meanwhile, don't mind me, I'm just playing some crane games and killing some zombies at the arcade, which got my encourage stat up from tough to fearless. I walked to school with Junpei on day 80, and we both are in agreement that Yukari is tweaking off this "why does Tartarus exist" stuff. I spent the afternoon with Yuko, where we both signed up to coach some local elementary schoolers at running fast. This development got my strength social link up to level 4, and I finished the day at Hagakure getting some charm stat points. I supplied Junpei with the correct answer to Mr. Takenozuka's question to start off day 81, and then spent the afternoon in the library with Shihiro after school. I ended this short day at the arcade getting more charm points. Elizabeth gave me a call the morning of day 82 with news that more people have made their way into Tartarus. So I attended track practice with Kazushi, harvested my crops at the rooftop, then waited for the dark hour to arrive. Finding the stranded humans in Tartarus isn't all that difficult, but I probably should have just waited so that they all get lost in Tartarus at the same time if I wanted to be more efficient. I did get to do some persona fusion though at the end of the day. I created the Matador and Pale Rider personas. Day 83 and the last day of school for this week begins near the shoe lockers, eavesdropping on some students gossiping about some couples who were found stricken with apathy syndrome. After school, I went down to the police station to collect the rewards for rescuing those people from Tartarus before going on a spending spree with the money I was given. I grabbed 3 Jack Frost dolls from the Crane game to complete a request for Elizabeth, went down to the train station and bought some more seeds to plant, before meeting up with 𝐼𝐞, who confides in me that her father is a piece of shit human being that hits his own child. This is a side note, but I felt it was important to put this here. If you or someone you care about is currently experiencing domestic abuse, please reach out to your local emergency helpline or domestic abuse services. Alright, important, sad, but needed public service announcement over. I got up to rank 5 in the 𝐻𝐵𝐵𝐼 Arcana Social Link before spending the evening on the public computer, upgrading my charm social stat from smooth to popular. With my Sunday off, I spent the morning of day 84 getting virtually married to Maya and ranking up the Hermit Social Link to level 4 before running over to Club Escapade to purchase the Revenge site note. I honestly thought reading this would give me a look into the mystery group of vigilantes, but it's just a courage stat boost. I'm back to class on day 85, correctly answering Mr. Edagawa's weird natural magic questions for that charm stat boost, then hanging out with Kazushi after school, where he let slip that he's been having those knee issues still. As our friendship grows deeper, my social link rank increases all the way up to level 4. In that evening, I got a cutscene between Yukari and Fuka, who have now teamed up to dig through all the documents surrounding the Kirijo group, Tartarus, and the Shadows to try and sort out the puzzle of how they're all connected. While they worry about that, I'm just gonna hang out at the arcade and play some dating simulators. Day 86 in the final day of June begins after school at the art club, where Keisuke confides in me that his dad will force him to quit the art club if he doesn't do well in this art competition. I promise to keep another secret, get another level of the Fortune Arcana Social Link, and then head back to the arcade for another night of hardcore gaming. Whilst I'm in the middle of a nice sleep, the dark hour activates, and Faros wakes me up to let me know that another full moon is a week away and to prepare myself as the month comes to an end. The hottest month in the year in the Northern Hemisphere begins on day 87, as Mitsuru and I walk to school. After class ended, I met up with 𝐼𝐞 as she plans to run away from home. Her resolve activates the 6th level of the 𝐻𝐵𝐵𝐼 Arcana Social Link, and to take my mind off the idea of a small child being alone on a hot July evening, I ate some ramen at Hagakure. I spent the afternoon with Kenji at 𝐼𝐿𝐷uck on day 88. He once again swears me to secrecy about his scandalous teacher-student romance, which prompts a rank up to level 5 in the Magician Arcana Social Link. Then it's back to the dorm to research ways to up my charm on the public computer. Junpei was dozing off in class again, so I've got to provide him with the answer to Mr. Okada's question to kick off day 89. I spent the after-school time slot admonishing the other students with Hidetoshi, ranking up my Emperor Social Link to level 5, before spending another late night at Hagakure Ramen. July 4th, day 90 begins by walking to class with Yukari, who is nervously anticipating the next full moon. I enjoyed my after-school time with Chihiro in the library, then ended another short day by enjoying some solo karaoke. Day 91 is another Sunday and another time to utilize Tanaka's amazing commodities. I spent the morning at the Net Cafe with Chihiro getting closer as friends, before spending another evening at 𝐼𝐿𝐷uck getting a courage stat boost. I walked to school with Junpei on day 92 as we talked about tomorrow's large shadow operation. I then spent the afternoon with Hidetoshi as he told me a story about some TV producer being blacklisted or something. All I really remember is getting another rank up in the Emperor Social Link. I should probably be preparing for the fight tomorrow, but the dating simulators were calling my name. The next Super Shadow Elimination mission is tonight, day 93. I walked to school with Fuka as we strategized our game plan for this evening, and just like that, the dark hour envelops us, and the gang and I make our way to Ground Zero for this operation, a love hotel. We make our way up to the penthouse suite to take down the large shadow, which honestly was pretty easy, as Mitsuru got the finishing blow. Turns out that this easy fight was a red herring. As we tried to leave the room, the door we entered was locked, leaving us to search for an alternative exit. After investigating this mirror that doesn't show a reflection, my vision goes white as we get a little cutscene that implies a certain intimacy between Yukari and myself. I'm able to resist the planted voices in my head and snap back to reality, and it also seems that Yukari had some manipulative voices swirling around her brain. And if my mind wasn't totally clear before, a solid slap from Yukari definitely makes sure it is now. The entire gang eventually meets back up, and we go through the hotel destroying those mirrors without reflections, which reopen the door to the penthouse suite, where yet another Super Shadow has taken up residence. This fight would have been pretty difficult if I didn't make sure I wasn't charmed the entire time, and Yukari eventually got the killing blow with her theurgy to pick up the Never Toy with the Matters of the Heart achievement, which was, again, pretty poetic. With the two Mega Shadows defeated, the gang and I debriefed outside the hotel, where our fantastic teamwork was able to rank up the Full Arcana Social Link to level 4. With that being said though, one of our team members is in his feelings about not being the star of the show, and 𝐿 lashes out at Yukari. But as the night draws to a close and the entire team departs for the dorm, it's revealed that a certain band of psychos was watching on as day 93 was put to bed. After a long evening of fighting some strong shadows, I started day 94 by eavesdropping on some of my classmates who are excited for summer break. I made sure to get Miss Toriumi's question answered correctly in class, then defended Suimitsu at Paulownia Mall as some angry father threatened him for taking his kid's money, which is definitely not my proudest moment as a human being. But I did get level 5 in the Moon Arcana Social Link. After spending time with the Gourmet King, I am absolutely ravenous. And this late night wild duck meal was just enough to pick up the Specialist achievement by maxing out my Courage social stat to Badass. I heard some chatter on day 95 as some of my classmates were gossiping about the 𝐅𝐸𝐿 group explosion that the high school is currently situated under. But that's none of my business right now. I gotta make sure I'm getting all the answers right and paying attention in class. After school, I met up with the elderly couple who owns the bookstore. Learning about their son and his connection to the persimmon tree got me another rank up in the Hierophant Social Link, and I ended the day at the dorm doing some studying with Akihiko and Mitsuru as the final exams are coming up soon. Mr. Edogawa had another weird question for me to answer on day 96, but this one is special as this correct response got my charm social stat maxed out to charismatic. After school, I enjoyed a meal with Suimitsu where he explained that sometimes he feels sick when thinking about his dead twin brother. Definitely an overshare, but I'll gladly take another Moon Arcana Social Link rank up. That evening, I picked up a request item from Fuka before having another dormmate study session with her and Yukari to end the day. Even though I'm maxed out on charm, the perfectionist within me needs to get Mr. Ono's question correct to start off day 97. After class, I got a text message from Akihiko about a meeting up with Mr. 𝐼𝐿𝐼𝐿𝐼 this evening, but before I do that, I've got a couple of requests to complete for Elizabeth, and a movie I've been dying to see that gets me some academic stat points. As the gang and I meet up at the control room, Yukari shoots her shot and accuses Mitsuru of lying to us and hiding something about Tartarus and the Dark Hour. To her credit, Yukari isn't entirely off base. Mitsuru reveals that her grandfather was essentially a mad scientist who was obsessed with the shadows and harnessing their power. He established a team of researchers that created the island that the school stands on today to research the shadows. But as these things often do, something terrible happened. An explosion destroyed the facility and ushered in Tartarus and the Dark Hour as we know it today. But there is hope. Mr. 𝐼𝐿𝐼𝐿 reveals that he can confirm that if we destroy all 12 strong shadows, we'll be able to eliminate Tartarus, the Dark Hour, and eradicate apathy syndrome. As exciting as that all is, the idea of becoming rich is also quite tantalizing. And this well-dressed man at the mall says he can make me rich quick, so I gave him 20,000 yen, no questions asked, and end the day in the arcade. Day 98 is a free day for the gang, and I get a whole bunch of cutscenes. Akihiko and Shinjiro are still doing their moral tug-of-war. Mitsuru and Fuka are working together to try to uncover the truth about the 𝐅𝐸𝐿 group. Junpei is just moping around town, beating himself over the head with his lack of confidence, and Yukari is sulking in a room, reading letters from her late father. Meanwhile, I'm using some of the little money I have left to order some new shoes and spending my morning as the almighty powers above intended, playing video games online and rotting in my bedroom. I got the Hermit Arcana Social Link up to level 5 and finished a relaxing Sunday by eating at Wakatsu. Unfortunately, my REM sleep is interrupted as Pharos woke me up during the Dark Hour to confirm that he and I are friends, ending the day by grabbing the 3rd level in the Death Social Link. Final start tomorrow, so I'm back in class on day 99, making sure I stay awake and listen to the lecture. After school, I hung out with 𝐼𝐿𝐼𝐿 to make sure she's doing okay with her home life, before running back to the dorm where it's revealed that the entire gang will be going to the beach for our summer vacation. I completed a couple of requests for Elizabeth at the mall, then doubled back to the dorm for one last study session with the entire gang. I put a bookmark on the first 100 days in the classroom as the first day of finals ends when I correctly give the answer of a dowsing to this question. If you've made it all the way here, I want to personally take the time to thank you for watching the entire video. Playing Persona 3 Reload has been an absolute blast, and I've already gotten started on recording a 200 days video. If you want to make sure that video comes out, all you have to do is subscribe to the channel, enable notifications, and do your part in making sure that this video gets a lot of likes. If you could care less about Persona 3 or this content, and you're just watching because you enjoy how funny, smart, cool, and humble I am, you should follow me on Blue Sky and Twitch. Those links are in the description. My personal Discord server is also linked in the description. It's honestly the best thing to come out of this little YouTube channel, and you wouldn't regret joining and becoming a part of the community. And with all that being said, thank you so much for watching, and I hope I'll see you in my next video.